evening, how are you today? Let's do more Halloween, shall we? This look started with mixing a very pale yellow and creating a flat two-dimensional diamond shape on my chest. This shape is going to be the ghost that you saw in the introduction. Now, whatever kind of ghost you want to paint is the shape that you would outline with, but I've gone with the diamond because, you saw my ghost. But any shape will do as long as you know what your ghost is. So this look starts off with a strip of orange body paint painted down from my neck to my chest with my foundation brush, making sure to outline my ghost shape when I get to it. Then, on either side of my orange strip, I've mixed in red with orange to blend out that orange shape, but I do go in later to make it redder. So your next color after the orange is red, and you paint that section on either side of the orange in the center. Trying to avoid any diagonal or squiggly lines, we're trying to get this as straight down as possible. Any overlapping doesn't technically matter because we do go in later and blend it all together, but try and keep it as spaced out as you can to avoid any uneven shape. After the red layer, I've mixed in my rose brown color, and I've mixed it in with a little bit of red, but not enough to change the complete color of the brown, just enough to blend it. With my dense buffing brush now, I've added a little bit of water, and I very strategically take it up and down between that red and orange strip. The light amount of water that I've dipped it into assists with that blend because, again, these are water paints and they're gonna reactivate with water. But try very hard not to twist the brush as you go off to the other side. The brush with the red half stays on the red, make sure you flip it onto that red side so it doesn't blur out that orange. And I guess take it back and forth until you're happy with what you see. Making sure also to blend underneath that ghost as it will show up a little bit later. I then do the same thing between the red and the rose brown. I did it a little out of order, I wanted to see if it would work, but then I go in after that and I create the rose brown strip on the other side. And I blend that all together too. On my shoulders now, I've mixed black in with that rose brown. It's more of a black than it is a rose brown, but I wanted to create that outside shadow. And then I go back in with my orange and my red to make everything more bold. Alrighty, in this next part, I've taken a thin applicator brush, well, it's more of a flat brush, and I've mixed in orange with a little bit of rose brown to create trees that are technically in the background, but they're in the foreground of trees that are going to exist. I then use orange brown with a little bit of rose brown to make the darker trees over the red section, and then the rose brown mixed in with a little bit of black for the darker sections, and then straight up black for the last section on the outer sides of my arms. This palette that I have here, I created, all of these are inglot shadows, and I take the brown and I create shadows on the lighter parts of the tree so that they stand out from the background and you can actually see them. And for the darker trees, I use the black shadow. Again, these are by inglot, but any colored shadows you have will do. You can go back and forth between these shadows or pick one over the other based on the colors of the trees, just to create that shadow in the bottom part of that tree. I then go in with white body paint and a fluffy brush and I create my ghost. Well, layer one of my ghost. I basically just fill in that diamond that I've made, and it's really difficult because of the consistency, but we get there eventually. I then take a white cream paint that I have in my Ben Nye FX palette, and I highlight points with that cream paint, blending everything in and making it as seamless as I can, but making sure that it stays on the high points that I'm gonna highlight and shadow later. I'm making sure to keep it irregular as well because I wanted the folds of the fabric of the ghost to catch into weird lighting, you'll see. Then I take this beige color from that same palette. All of these colors are numbered, so I don't actually know what they're called. You have a visual, so whatever you have close to these is good. White is good as well, but I've chosen this beige color to create some kind of a shadow and make it more 3D than I can explain. And for the most part, I'm just shadowing underneath where I think the light would be coming from. Now I take a gray shadow. With that same fluffy brush, I go in and I try to create what would be the shadow of a body, which would be underneath a sheet, but because this is a ghost hovering, there is no body behind it, it's more of a hollow sheet. I did want to give it that sort of body though, or else we have a two-dimensional diamond on our chest. Now we take black and a small sort of pencil brush, and I outline this ghost sort of like fabric would line, with folds and creases and, you know, ghosty. I know a lot of people can't see folds in fabrics, I struggle with it too sometimes, so with this part I think it's just best that you watch what I do, more than listen to me explain it. when it comes to lighting and shadowing fabric, you take the shadow and you drag it down into where the fabric goes inward, and on the top you highlight to make it look like it stands more out. That's kind of what I've tried to do here near the beginning, and you see it again. As this look progresses, you see everything come together. But I do keep harsher lines where there are more obvious folds, and I keep softer lines where the folds are just creases and dents into the sheet. Just creating two fluffy eyes for a sec so we know where we're looking. Now I've taken a detail brush and my white cream paint, and I'm highlighting the opposite side of that darkness to create those ridges and those highlight points like I said. And hopefully you can see it coming all together. I've taken that black shadow again and that little fluffy pencil brush, and I shadow underneath that fold there because this is now the inside of that ghost. I'm filling in those bottom parts in cream paint now to lighten it up again because I did a little too much shadow by mistake. Okay, makeup time. As always, everything I use will be listed down below, but you've seen me do foundation dozens of times and I'm assuming you know how to apply foundation, so let's gloss over that. Apply concealer to the points you apply concealer. I apply them under my eyes, my nose, my forehead, my chin, and for these looks, over my lip. And then I set everything with my MERCIER setting powder. With this look, unlike my previous look, I did take my regular bronzer, which is the Benefit Hoola bronzer, if anyone remembers those. I wanted the complexion to look a little more natural because it matches this week's body paint. So I took my regular bronzer and I regularly bronzed. I did add a little extra than usual because my look is more orange and red. I wanted to give it more of a warm feel. And then I also went in and contoured my nose a little bit and under my eyebrows and a little bit under my chin. I then go in with my NYX pencil and my Benefit brow gel and I fill everything in. Okay, time for eyeshadow. This week we're using the Too Faced Semi-Sweet Chocolate Bar palette, and I'm starting this look with peanut butter. I'm taking a fluffy eyeshadow brush and basically just fluffing out and blending out that color everywhere on the outer half of this eyelid. Taking it above the crease as well because I have a semi-hooded eye, and creating it as big and dramatic and bold as I can. I take that both into the inner half of my eye and point it outward. I then take Truffled with my pencil brush and I deepen the outer crease just to give it that little more, depth. That's all we do here. We just give things depth. After a couple layers of that, I take my fluffy brush with a little extra peanut butter product and I blend everything all together. I then take my concealer again and a flat applicator brush and I give it a soft semi-cut crease. It's not technically a cut crease because we're not cutting the crease, we're just making the base lighter so that our light shade can really pop. But we're blending it out so there's no real harsh lines. And that light shade is inside the Naked palette by Urban Decay. That light shade is called Ounce. I'm taking another flat brush now for application and I was just applying it on that whole section. Without any additional product, I take my fluffy brush from before and blend everything together. And then back into my Naked Heat palette, I take Ashes with my pencil brush and I buff out the entire lower lash line. And then I go back in with Ounce and a highlight pencil brush and I highlight the underparts of the inside of the eye. Eyeliner time now. Because this look seemed a little too much of a warm, natural look, my eyeliner is pretty bold, but that's okay. My eyeshadow didn't look as bold as I hoped it would because again, we're using warm, neutral palettes, so my eyeliner here is gonna look pretty bold. I then line the waterlines and add some lashes and some mascara. I do add some blush here, which I forgot to do earlier. For my lips, I do a little differently this time. My top lip I've lined with MAC Stone Liner and I filled that in. And for my bottom lip, I'm using Urban Decay's 24/7 Slide-On Lip Pencil in a color that I definitely cannot pronounce. The top lip lipstick choice is Whirl by MAC, and the bottom lip lipstick choice is the Mademoiselle by Fenty Beauty in Thick. I'm using my KVD liquid liner now to make the eyes pop on my little ghost. And this is this week's final look. I hope you liked it. I can't wait to do more of these, I'm having so much fun. Come back next week for the next Halloween video. Have a good evening. Bye.